Imagination creates.
Yo. 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 Yo.
Oh, please, you can't even handle your Scorpio moon.
Says the Gemini rising with commitment issues.
Wait, Hypergate AI says we're actually...
What do you mean it's not going to work out?
Honey, if your astrology's still on YouTube, you need an upgrade. Hypergate AI or nothing.
Come on, what's the issue?
I can't date someone still watching YouTube astrologers. Hypergate AI is the real deal.
Wait, why won't you date me?
Because real men use Hypergate AI, not YouTube astrology videos.
So, what's your sign?
You just don't understand how Hypergate AI works.
Still watching those boring YouTube astrologers? Hypergate AI knows exactly what you really want. Still unsatisfied? Hypergate AI knows exactly how to give you what your YouTube horoscopes can't.
Welcome to your Inspirational Astrology Horoscope for Thursday, July 10th, 2025. I'm astrologer David Palmer, the Leo King, here to illuminate the collective consciousness. Thanks so much for being a part of highvibe.tv. If you are not, definitely is now the time to join. You can go to highvibe.tv and click on join now, of course, and get access to all the shows that we do. Of course, my Deep Astrology, I've now made it to where you can, if you're not a subscriber, you can go in the watch section here and you can find Deep Astrology, which it'll always be in the new this week, and you can purchase it for $5. So if you just want to help High Vibe out by just watching Deep Astrology only, you can pay that $5 a week, or you can get the discount of $13 a month to get access to every video that is done every day on High Vibe TV. So, of course, at the same time, Hypergate AI, we've added the human design element to it, and we have a lot of new updates coming over this next month of July. I hope everybody's doing wonderful out there. Of course, this is where I show up for the new and the full moon horoscope, and I still put something out there for people on the old legacy world of YouTube. I hope everybody's doing wonderful during this Cancer time. Of course, we're here for the full moon in Capricorn. And for those in YouTube world, yeah, we had our son, Asher, June 27th. So it's going to be 2 weeks tomorrow after the full moon at 1:30 a.m. So Aries rising, Cancer sun, and an awesome moon at 1 degree Leo on my sun. I'm a 0 Leo, but it was pretty cool. And Mercury was at 0 Leo. So, Sophia's doing great. Our family of 4 is now complete, and it's been a beautiful moment in all of our lives. Now, this full moon in Capricorn, I did use a way to put this out there that hopefully would make a little bit more sense to people. One, we're about to see Saturn station retrograde 2 days after this full moon, and of course, Saturn is the planet that rules Capricorn. So this full moon definitely bringing up that Saturn that's starting to station. At the same token, we are in a Saturn-Neptune conjunction that is so close to the conjunction, but will not conjunct until February of next year. And we just saw Neptune retrograde. We have Mercury on its way to retrograde in a week from this full moon. So I think it's really important to remember that this is a time that you gotta, whatever is going on that needs to get handled, what are the elephants in the room? You just can't be in that kind of Cancerian, lazy, everything's just going to be fine. No, you got to actually take care of business and get on top of things right now. And it might feel like you are in Wonderland and I got to just figure this out. The time is now. Yeah, you got to do it now. Once Saturn retrogrades, the universe doesn't open up any more steps for you to really go in the world. So this is definitely a blessing, this full moon, to take care of it now, whatever has to be done. Get the things on your to-do list, the things that you want to achieve, the elephants in the room that you have to address, the business situations. There is no more Pluto here, but there was no Pluto in Capricorn during the full moon last year in Capricorn when we had that weird solstice full moon, and we had 2 full moons in Capricorn, if you don't remember, last year. We're not having that this year. This was another one I had. It is kind of like a business meeting of your comfortable self and the things that need to get done here. These are, of course, just the fun kind of illustrations that I like to do. We have to also remember that in the heliocentric astrology right now, we are seeing Venus during this full moon going to make its conjunction, finishing its conjunction with Saturn at the end of Pisces in heliocentric, and then, of course, crossing over the 0 Aries spot, and then coming in conjunction with Neptune, which is sitting there at the 1 degree spot, and so stellium heliocentrically. What the hell? Please do not go out right now. The heck? Hold on one second. This is just so stupid. All right, there we go. So there's a huge stellium happening right now. If you watch Deep Astrology, of course, on High Vibe, I actually take you through Apple Vision Pro, and through the full VR experience, take you into the Helio experience to feel it, like literally. So it's been cool. I've been doing that for the last couple weeks. I always take the Helio in every weekly, but I don't really talk about it too much here on full and new moon horoscopes. But for example, I will bring it up here. I know this is kind of going ass backwards, but we are in now Uranus and Gemini, which I did see some comments. People were asking me, like, where are you? Why aren't you showing up on YouTube? It's Uranus Gemini. I'm like, we just had a baby, and I do it on High Vibe every day. But you could see here by the end of this week, after the full moon, you see Venus, Neptune, Saturn. So we have this big stellium happening at the beginning and the end of the zodiac. And this one's important because it's not like there's a lot of stuff showing up with Saturn and Neptune. Of course, Mercury every 88 days. But seeing Venus here definitely makes this full moon have a bigger special quality to it, I would say, and much more an important time to focus on. Of course, it is going to be also Venus coming into square with Jupiter by the end of this week. And then we come into that Mercury retrograde. So we have to remember this full moon happening at the 18th, 19th degree. So, this is by the time we get to 22 degrees, which ironically enough is the degree in which Saturn Pluto back in 2020 conjuncted. So if you go watch Deep Astrology, you'll understand more about that. Now, I'm a big stickler as an astrologer about Saturn retrogrades and Saturn stationing direct. It's the tough thing I have to tell people, that when Saturn's stationing retrograde like we're in right now, it's like, this is as far as the line goes, as much as you can really take on. So, trying to start new things in Saturn retrograde is worse, I think, than in a Mercury retrograde. Saturn doesn't go farther this year, and it only just arrived here in Aries, right? And it's going to retrograde back into Pisces. And we're seeing it in very close conjunction with Neptune, yet it's not going to conjunct here yet, which is mind-blowing. But that just shows you the unique perspective of how perfect the divine science is, and not the man-made kind of craziness that people live here, which probably isn't even man-made, it's matrixy. But I would say that, we have to remember that this is a full moon where we have grown so much, and we are growing now into new areas with Jupiter in Cancer, this Sun in Cancer, highlighting that energy on the opposite side of this full moon. And we're done with Pluto Capricorn, right? So I think there's that reminder, like, you've grown when it comes to what to take on in your life, what to have meaning with. And so with all this Jupiter Cancer energy, there's discomforts that are showing up, and we're here to experience, we're here to grow and go, how do I take care of myself better? How do I nurture myself better? How do I also maintain my support around energy that has meaning, is the way I'm looking at this full moon in Capricorn. Like, what still has meaning to it? What doesn't? I also think because we do have Saturn about to retrograde in Aries, we have Chiron still in Aries, of course, and we have Neptune that's now retrograde in Aries. It is kind of like this thing where it's like, is your ego still trying to hold this kind of part of your life together, or associate with this person, or associate with this job, or associate with this role that you don't want to be anymore? This Capricorn energy comes in and goes, it's very important. You've learned since 2008 all the way through 2024, where we reach too high, or we do things to try and get seen too much. But this is where it's on the opposite side, where sometimes we're supporting something that we think has meaning when it really doesn't. Maybe we're putting too much emotion into something that doesn't mean anything really. This full moon in Capricorn is great because it goes, let's separate the things that really don't really have that much meaning, and we don't have to get all emotional. We don't need to go rescue every cat on the street. We don't need to go save every dog in the universe. We can't do that. But that's where we can kind of go a little crazy with Jupiter in Cancer. The moon moves every 2.5 days. So the reason why Jupiter is exalted in Cancer is because the moon definitely every month gets multiple times where it gives it some really high points and some great positions, and always in a good mutual reception, at least. Always when it comes moon Sag, it always definitely goes into higher values there. So it always makes sense, but it is very much a high-low kind of game with Jupiter in Cancer. And so I think that even though the moon is at detriment, I think it's a good detriment because it reminds us, is this even worth the emotion I'm putting into this place? It also is really about the understanding of where things are going. And now that Pluto's gone out of Capricorn, where are we going now? And that's very much a mystery with Saturn in Aries, with Neptune, and especially with Saturn about to retrograde on Saturday, 2 days after this full moon. And I think that for anybody right now, it's much more about paying attention to the understandings of what to identify in your life, and then also not to trip yourself out so much. So let's take a look at this chart here. All right. So we've got the sun here at 18 degrees of Cancer. We've got the full moon happening at 18 degrees of Capricorn in 50 minutes. So we're seeing actually good aspects to the nodes during this full moon. And so I think this is actually one of the better full moons. If you see here, we're finally in a lot of pretty easy aspects and a lot of quintiles, a lot of biquintiles, pretty smooth energy. I'm actually looking at this as this is really no excuse time. Even with Uranus that's now finally made its ingress into Gemini, it is where we have to use more than just common sense, but there is where logic takes more precedent with intuition at the same time, and not relying on, what is the way the system always worked, right? This is us leaving what's kind of old too, because, Capricorn represents old, but it's not an old sign anymore. Pluto's been through there. It has revamped it. So anything where you're still, playing by the old rule book. I mean, a good example is look at the job market. You're really trying to find the old 9 to 5 still? Really? With this world with AI right now? And look, just pay attention. Just go look where all the VC money's gone. Go see where the economy's working. You're really going to just stay and just think you're going to make your whole life off YouTube? You better be advancing in the next place. I've already seen what YouTube's doing. They're already through Google One going to make it to where you're in a chatbot through the new Google One and watch your videos through there and be suggested through your chatbot. You're not going to be searching for videos in a year. I think people have no fucking clue what's coming. And this is this moment to get serious. Like, do you really know where things are going in your life? I know it's hard with Saturn, Neptune, and Aries, and this is also where we can be in denial, right? It's almost like, remember that Aries is a sign of the infant. We're at this infant stage of like what this new world looks like. We're at the portal like gate. We have one foot in it, and we also have this subconscious foot that's in the old ways. And we're gonna go back with Saturn and Neptune coming back into Pisces, and with Uranus coming back into Taurus. What's interesting about this full moon in Capricorn is for the last 7 years, there's always been something in Capricorn or in Taurus. There's nothing in Taurus. And by the way, during the last 7 years that Uranus was in Taurus, you had a North Node solar eclipse in Taurus, which hadn't happened since the 80s. It missed the whole double cycle, okay, of the nodes. So that was rare. We had Jupiter and Uranus meet in 2023 in Taurus. So there's no Taurus. This is a full moon in Capricorn with no Taurus. We have Mars in the South Node, and I think this is, if you're on High Vibe, you know this, but a lot of these people out there don't. I always say this is the loser's alignment, meaning people feel like they want to give up with Mars in the South Node. This is where, you have to remember this is a moment where if you try and fight too hard, you ain't going to get anywhere. It's not about fighting. It's not about pushing too hard either. And being in Virgo, people can have this really small perspective of reality and how they want it to keep working the way that it always has been, in my terminology, humdrum. It's not going to work that way anymore, and especially with Saturn and Neptune that's dispositing Mars, and Mars is with the South Node in Virgo. Yeah, I think that, this is definitely where the old ways of reality and your old identity and how you think it used to work and operate is very mechanical. This mechanical version of reality is malfunctioning. And instead of freaking out, the way that you get through it is go, all right, just let it go. And let's actually see, where do we purify in a better place? We have a North Node Pisces. And I like this because this full moon really is tapping into like, where can we make the dreams come true with meaning? Saturn's with Neptune. Saturn is not retrograde by the time this full moon hits its apex. It's coming within 20 or 48 hours, but, Saturn doing 14 seconds a day, that's barely fucking moving, but hey, is a blessing. Like the bigger dreams in your life and the risk it takes to do, this is where you take that big risk, right? You don't, you're never going to get your dream unless you take the risk. I just saw a Gary Vee video, and I can't believe that guy, I've been following him a long time. That guy's like 20 years just like telling people, like, why are you still in the job you hate? Like, I can't even believe how many people are in the job they hate. It really is wild. That guy still gets millions of views, and people being like, yeah, I know I'm scared. It's like, I can't believe we went through a whole Pluto Capricorn and Gary Vee still up there fucking, yeah, you're afraid? Like, and then there's only like the one guy who shows up like, I followed what you said and I followed my dream, and it was scary to leave my job, but that I hated and I wasn't making money, but actually now I'm happy and I make 5 times what I made, It's like, yeah. And so I look at this as like, this is the checkpoint here before it's like, if you want to really make this happen, let's put those things actually into fruition. If you don't, then don't, and wait, and then come into a new world and be kind of last in when everybody rushes in. And next year, especially by the time that we get to the spring of next year after the Saturn-Neptune conjunction, we have Uranus make its ingress into Gemini, and we're fully in the outer planet transits that we'll be in for a while. And the new world will be here, and you'll be kind of catching up. I don't want you to be catching up next year. This is your moment to go, what really has meaning? You are supported. Now, this is what's crazy. What Jupiter in Cancer always teaches is that you already have the safety net. You are protected, but you don't believe it. Right? Like most people don't believe they're as safe as they really are, or sometimes they don't appreciate the blessings of safety that they have. But, I've always thought about Jupiter Cancer. If I see somebody with Jupiter in the 4th house in their life, I'm always like, geez, this person's got a pillow. There's no trap door that's just going to fly out and, oh, God. And what, you go to bottomless pit or something? That ain't going to happen. Like right now, we're in a universe with Uranus and Gemini now and all the outer planets that have finally made their big new changes here. Uranus, of course, in that nice sextile to Saturn, Neptune, the trines to Pluto beginning. With Pluto and sextile to Saturn, Neptune, I mean, like, to be honest, we're in a moment where anything is possible. You could literally create whatever you want. You could literally do everything that is possible. Thank God Pluto's out of Capricorn, because it's like, now it's not about this kind of like obsessive, like I need to make it happen, but the natural part of like what true meaning is. Like, this aligns with me spiritually. This feels fated in my life. This is what I feel called to do, not because I'm obsessive or because I want to try and like have some sort of emotional, deep desire met. It's not about that. It's natural. It's in alignment with the nodes this full moon. And that North Node's in Pisces. It's like, why did you come here? What was your big reason? Like, with Mercury at the same token, getting ready to retrograde 7 days after this full moon, it's in Leo. It's going to stay in Leo. And, we've done a lot of Leo work. Mars went retrograde in Leo in December of 2024. There's going to be a lot of retrograde Leo. We saw in 2023, the Venus retrograde in Leo. The first one to start its retrograde in Leo after a couple centuries, right? Since the last time it had started back. As far as starting in Leo, right? Stationing retrograde in Leo. The last one prior to that was like in the 1800s or whatever. But the one that started that was 1774. But then we have next year, right? Jupiter's coming into Leo. There'll be Jupiter retrograde Leo, and Mars coming into Virgo to retrograde in Virgo, but retrograde back into Leo. There's a lot happening in Leo over these years. A lot happening in Aquarius. And I think that with this Mercury in Leo, it's like with Uranus now in Gemini, it's like, it better be fun. It better be stimulating, or what are you doing? I mean, if your dream is to be a video game person, this is the moment. If your dream is to do things, and you know what, it's about technology, whether you like it or not. I think I saw a good meme today that was like people back in 2010 driving and getting a taxi ride and being like, there'll always be taxis. Uber's not going to be a big deal. And like 2024, it's somebody sitting at a desk like, AI won't take my job. It's like, yeah, you thought taxis were going to stay around? They said that about Vegas too. People get in fucking Ubers in Vegas, right? And now we're in self-driving fucking taxis. So for you to think technology is not part of this crazy alignment, and what is Capricorn? Capricorn's common sense from a grounded approach. Right? It's like, well, okay, I see the writing on the wall. I'm going to make sure that I don't get left behind here. And so, it might be uncomfortable to do the things that have to be done. And I feel like part of it is the communication within ourself, our mind, our thoughts. We've got Venus, Uranus, of course, in Gemini, and we saw both of those be in Taurus. So the whole Venus-Taurus transit was with Uranus. Then there was a 4-day gap when Venus went into Gemini, and then boom, Uranus just ingressed in. And so we're seeing the two planets of relationships be together for longer than normal and switch signs. And so they're going to do that again next year the exact same way at the exact same degrees. It's pretty wild. But communication is not going to be easy for those elephants in the room. You're going to have those tough talks. In order to break yourselves free of the kind of elephant in the room that you don't want to address or the situation that's in limbo. I think it's very important that this moon in Capricorn takes with Mercury Leo, like having the courage to actually do what you must do. Like, it's uncomfortable, but I got to do this. This is what I don't want to miss out. Like, It's like a positive FOMO, meaning like this is a good sign that you feel like you're missing out, so you better do it. You know, like, I'm not going to lie, and I've said this since the beginning. Once we had the end of summer and the eclipses begin, they're not going to be easy. It's going to be the weirdest world we ever saw, and the hardest to have to go to this new world and then come back to the old one and clear up the end of Pisces with Saturn and Neptune. Oh boy. And they're never going to meet there in Pisces is the illusion. So everybody's going to, every religion's going to think they're the right religion and all that shit. But it's going to get dark. Now you've got some time, but this is now where, and the reason why I use the white rabbit with the time period. Okay. It's like, you have just these 2 days after this, during this full moon, right? Like to really go, what is it? This moon is breaking through. And it literally is like, get up, do what's uncomfortable. What is this discomfort that you're feeling? Why are you afraid? Like you got to make these moves now. You're not going to be able to make moves. This was actually from my deep astrology this week. It's like the fate train's here. We're in the new world. It's like we can see it. We're not in it though. We're still in the old world. And we're kind of in between both worlds right now. But you can be confident, and underneath this, I'll take away my Hypergate AI thing and my logos. The last stop before tomorrow, right? Because when we arrive back to all this energy next year, it'll already be tomorrow, and you'll be in the tomorrow, right? So I think that it's really important for people to remember that this is not going to be easy. Once that sun exits the end of Virgo and we're in Libra season, and when we go to Scorpio season and Sag season and Capricorn and Aquarius and Pisces, like really, this is where it's going to get really hard in here at the true south parts of the zodiac. Saturn, Neptune back in Pisces, Uranus back in Taurus. Talk about a really hard like purge. So this is your moment now to go. It's like you're setting up your future now. You're setting up what's possible and allowing yourself to be part of that even when it's difficult. It's like the light that you can set now to guide you when it gets dark this fall and especially this winter. This is not a joke. Not a lot of people are taking it serious. A lot of people are lost with Saturn, Neptune, and Pisces, which is understandable. But a lot of people are also just like very blindly kind of like letting their life pass by them and not doing the thing that they want to do. They're afraid. And that's because it's like you don't want to become the wrong person. Well, what if you are sitting in the wrong person? That's the clue. And remember, it's hard because with Neptune in Aries, and especially the North Node being in Pisces and that dispositing Neptune, and Neptune's in Aries, we're not identified off this identity. It's our soul. And the soul now has to really understand how to not convince, but how to naturally vibe its soul energy, so where our ego can actually adapt well. And with Saturn there saying, yeah, we better connect this soul to the ego correctly and not the other way around. With Chiron there, it's like you'll be a stupid clown. So if you're really doing this just for attention in life, or just doing this for your own idea of like your own gain for your own self, you're a clown now. That's Chiron in Aries. Like the more you're trying to pump yourself up, clown show, right? So I think that, this is like the moment though when it goes, well, what's the meaning and the purpose? But that's where it comes back to Cancer. Wholesome. With Jupiter here, like this is why you're seeing the family unit become a big deal in the world again. Right? This is where you're seeing people, the data's crazy. It's like whether it's in the UK, 69 or 66 to 69% of women now want to stay home to have kids, but they can't. America's closer to 71%. I mean, you have to like start to look at, we went too far with Pluto Capricorn. Okay, we went too far with the way that we thought society should go, work. There's just a great podcast out right now, and the Diary of a CEO about feminism and how it went too far. I don't think feminism is bad. It needed to happen, but where it went too far. And now there has to be a balance here for men and women, right? But this is the first time where the gender gap for pay is no longer there. And even though in America they won't tell you that, but that's actually in the data now, that the women are making more money, right? So like, it's like, it's not about like, oh, that's unfair. It's just kind of like, okay, you guys won, but at the same token, the silent majority don't want to do that, and they feel pressured, right? And men feel, like pressured to be something, and they don't know how to be it. They're too afraid to be who they want to be. And so this is where we're all from the same family. You can't just say gender neutral anymore. There's men and there's women. If you want to be gender neutral, then that's fine. But not everybody needs to determine who they are based off a couple people, right? Like you can be you and I can be myself, but this is where we're all a family, but we're all not going to change everything for the one or two people out of the huge majority. Like this is about bringing wholesomeness. So we can still care and love all people, but trying to force people to be something different than we've been for thousands of years is insane. And that's why you're seeing this extreme call to safety, family, traditional values. And that's what is kind of interesting, though, is because the traditional values are adapting to the current environment with Uranus and out of Taurus and in Gemini. So it's like, it's not going to look like the 1950s again. And it's not about trying to be that again. It's about that we're in 2025, we're moving into a new world, but let's like take what was good in the past and what was bad out and what's bad now and bring back the things that did work. And that's where this gets a little bit kind of like where people could feel confused when it's like, no, you're not confused about your identity. It's pretty simple. Like this is where you're calling what feels right to you. And this is where, Capricorn doesn't give a fuck, right? It literally is like, I am going to do the things I need to do to make my purpose happen and make sure that, I do the duty, the responsibility of this life in order to maintain my family, to maintain my wholesome life, and to maintain some safe place. With Jupiter here, you're safe to fucking do anything. There is every opportunity in the world out there. So it's kind of dumb for anybody having a fear right now. The astrology is like, there's no hard aspects here to even really talk about. None. So your excuses of your ego don't work anymore. And, Saturn, when it retrogrades 2 days after this full moon, you will feel either massive regret or, I used this year of 2025 to position myself and to actually start to carve out this direction that feels more in alignment with who I am. It's that or the latter. And this full moon is your wake-up call to either get on it if you've been behind, or if you've been on it, there's still more that you could put on top of this. And it really, to me, is not about confusion. It's about, this is pretty simple now. The universe has everything we could ever ask for. I mean, I could literally build like 17 companies in one day, and I could have AI build them, and they could be some basic ones if I want them to be like badass, like Hypergate. That those take time, but you could do anything right now. But of course, everybody's so worried about what's the government doing. This full moon is a reminder to get out of the worry about what the government's doing. That was Pluto Capricorn. It's over. This is about the people now. Right? So, you know, like all those crazy things that the governments and around the world and the weird psyops we've been watching, they're only working for the people who are still like trying to decode and think that the government's on their side, or thinking like you're stupid at this point. They're all the same people and working for the same dark fucking thing. So, you know, remember, we're now moving into where we all need to fucking come together and be our badass selves. And that's what this full moon in Capricorn's about. Like, remember why you're fucking here, motherfucker. Open up that fucking spiritual fucking cabinet and wake up. Your orders are right here that you wrote yourself. It wasn't like you're being ordered by some god to do something here. You're not being ordered by your guides. You determined the order coming down here. And this is where everything is possible. Everything. There is no excuse like, this isn't possible. Okay, it's fucking possible. It's just whether or not you're good. You know, and I'll be honest, if you're too lazy, or if things are too much for you in life, then you're bad with responsibility and you don't want to do anything. And this is where Jupiter does bad things when it's exalted, especially in Cancer. The wanting to just do nothing, the wanting to just have it easy, guess what? It adds to weight gain and never getting supplied with enough, and then not appreciating things. Like, we need to go through tougher things in life which have meaning in order to grow, mature. This is the collective maturing. And we can't see at this moment what it's going to look like, but you better bet everything in your life on the fact that we are going to prove the whole universe that our maturing over everything we've been through, and everybody stepping into who they really truly are, will be the baddest ass thing we've ever seen in the universe. Not what the TV says, not whether or not this president is in power or they expose these files or not. And shit matters in a way, but what matters more than that is your life and you becoming your all-star self, and you creating a place of solidarity within yourself, wholesomeness, speaking from your heart, having an exciting life. You can do whatever you want. This Uranus and Gemini is like, fucking go do what you want. I mean, I don't want to be too cryptic, but you better decide, because guess what? We're now in the fourth turning. We're now where America comes into every big war. We're now where it does come into World War II energy, which is more like World War III. So you better fucking get on top of it right now. It's not good. Saturn was in Aries as well during World War II, okay? So fucking, you know, as we were building up into it, but then went into Taurus. But, you know, I'm just saying, like, we are right there. Jupiter was in the same transit it was in 1776 as well with the sun. I'm telling you, there was no Sun Jupiter in Gemini in 1776. It met just like it did. And then in the 1800s, it did that again. Right? So, like, you have to understand the Jupiter cycles. You have to understand all the stuff that this full moon's highlighting. This would have been the same exact full moon that in 1776. Watch this. I'm guessing it'll probably be pretty close. But let's have some fun. Let's do today, and then let's change this to... Oh, you know what? I'm on, hold on. We're on my fucking lap. We're on my fucking Mac, fucking M3 Max, motherfuckers. All right. Got Astro Gold up in this motherfucker. All right, so let's change this chart to 1776 here. It was close. It was close. Full moon in Capricorn up at 10 degrees with Jupiter right there. Pretty fucking close. Uranus and Gemini. I'll make this easier to see. It's not going to be exact. It's not like Venus where it does degrees exact, right? If it was the same Venus. But interesting enough, Venus and Gemini, just like we had now. Mercury retrograde, we're going to have that coming up. But you know what I mean? It's kind of interesting seeing that, like, you know, Sun, Jupiter, opposite full moon. It's just like, you know, right before July 4th, right? That's what's kind of crazy. And so I wouldn't be surprised after this full moon, especially when Saturn goes retrograde. And Saturn back then was slow. Oh, Saturn was about to retrograde. Look at that. Let's see this. Let's do Saturn retrograde then. February 10th. Oh, I guess it was doing a minute. So Saturn went retrograde June. Oh, so it just turned direct. I was looking at the speed thinking it was about to slow down, but it was about to speed up. So that's interesting. That Saturn had gestation direct then. Now we're going through a Saturn retrograde that's about to happen after that full moon. That's kind of crazy. This is the kind of shit I like to do. But, you know, it was different back then. There's nothing like right now. I mean, if you look at the outer planet transits, I've looked. There is no time where you see it. There's only one date, right, that goes back to when we saw Pluto in Aquarius, Uranus in Taurus, and then Uranus Gemini, and then Neptune in Aries. You know, and it was the time of Exodus when the Israelites had to move. Fucking weird. So, you know, there's an exodus of us. I'm not a biblical guy, but it's like, you know, maybe we all are moving into the new world and that's our promised land, but is that the promised land we all want? You need to start to make those choices of what you think they are now. With this full moon, you better not be just still, I don't know what I'm going to do. This full moon definitely is saying, get on top of this shit. Let me just show you, like, for example, like when we get to the lunar eclipse. When this lunar eclipse happens right here, I can annotate here too. September 7th, 2025. That lunar eclipse, right? Pisces with the North Node, with Saturn at the last degree, retrograde back into Pisces. That's a rough one right there. It's in quincunx to Venus, Mars in Libra here, square Jupiter. Uranus retrograde, right? Neptune retrograding on its way back into Pisces. So it's like this summer's not going to end easy. You're not going to feel like this moment that you're feeling. It's going to feel like we're going back. But as long as you have defined this new world for you and what you're going to do in it, and you're forging that energy, you won't worry like we're just going back to clean up some of the old shit because we're moving in the new world. But if you're going backwards going, oh, I don't know what I'm doing, and then you're going back into that shit show with, I don't know, maybe I'll just be like a typical Libra, Mars and Libra, and somebody can help push me into something ridiculous. Ridiculous, right? I mean, if you look at the lunar eclipse that follows that after the Saturn-Pluto or the Saturn-Neptune conjunction, then it's in Virgo and the sun's in Pisces, the North Node, and we see Venus and we see Saturn-Neptune, of course, in Aries. We see Venus there with a Mercury retrograde in Pisces, Mars in Pisces. We see a lot of Pisces. It could have been crazier like it was in 2013, but we don't see that again. You look at the solar eclipse that's coming up prior on this one is probably the harshest, the end of summer. 29 Virgo, opposite Neptune, opposite Saturn. is a perfect kite. I mean, this is probably the eclipse of the year right here. Perfect kite. Pluto and Uranus, like almost exactly in trine. And at least the solar eclipse trines both of those, but the opposition, I mean, we see this great kite formation. I actually really like this kite, but it does have this really interesting moment of us like, this is us flying back to the old and having to face that shit, and also realizing the old reality is done. And that's coming up quick. I mean, we're in July right now. That's why this full moon's a lot more than just think about it. The next full moon's in Aquarius, of course. And, that'll have Mercury and Leo. That'll have, like, Pluto's still in Aquarius. That one's like, kind of like, welcome to we're going to the other direction. But these Virgo, Pisces things that are coming up, this lunation cycle is the best one that we're in right now, this full moon in Capricorn, to get your shit together, because you can't get your shit together here. You're along for the ride, whether you like it or not. Like, and wherever you've determined your position, that's how the kite will take you to where you're going to go. That is a fucking rough ass eclipse. That's even way worse, I think, than like some of the other ones we've seen. This one to me is like, unless you're truly, really aligned in who you are now, this one's rough. So that's why I think it's important to remember that, like, just if we just go off, the full moons, right? So the next one after this is in Aquarius at 16 degrees right here. This is the Saturn Neptune retrograde. It's the Mercury stationing, ready to come out of retrograde. It's like in its station. It's 2 days away from August 11th when it stations direct. This will be August 9th. Anybody telling you that there's a fucking Lionsgate is a fucking retard. This is the opposite of anything that would be a Lionsgate. A full moon in Aquarius happening on 8/8 and 8/9 with Mercury retrograde. No, it's not. Sorry. It's more like a Sirius gate. It's Jupiter and Venus on the star Sirius and Cancer. So if you think about it, just in a month from now, this is us trying to balance out this Mars that we had in opposition of Pluto over the last 8 months. This is us really trying to understand where the light of the world is going. And it's more about where you've positioned yourself and letting, with Neptune and Saturn, like letting spirit guide the way at that point. But you can set that right now. Like, you can set where it is right now. Because if you come back to this one right now, this is the all-star. This is the best lunation of the year. Right now. And the last chance to get anything done. This is it right here. So, the rest of it's you're along for the ride. Remember that we go into 4 planets retrograde in a matter of a week after this full moon, because we're going to have Saturn retrograde 2 days after and Mercury retrograde like 6.5 days after. And that's the most we'll have this year, because Mars and Venus already did their retrogrades this year. So it's not like 2024 with 5 to almost 6, and then 2023 where we were in 6, technically 7, but it was an hour off from being 7, and that would have been like 1984 when we had 7 planets retrograde. So you have to remember that, like, at least it's not going to be as hard with as many retrogrades after this full moon, but it's still 4 planets retrograde, right? Meaning that things kind of just bubble up and stir in what you've created and kind of only what you've already put forward. You trying to create something new out of it is redonkulous. So this is your last moment to make your last stand here of what you're going to do, who you're going to be, what you're going to, especially in career, especially in your home life, especially in how you want to determine those things. If you're trying to rekindle a Venus retrograde relationship, you'd be another retard. And no, if you're thinking that things are going to go back to the way they were sometime, you think, we're moving in a loud world. Uranus and Gemini, Neptune and Saturn and Aries, Pluto and Aquarius. This is going to be loud. That's why you see military on the streets. That's why you see, the Supreme Court, you guaranteed by the end of this year. I don't want to maybe say that. I'll say end of the summer of next year, they will restore the Second Amendment and people will be able to walk around with guns again all over the fucking country. And you're going to live in a wild frontier again. And then Europe's going to be looking at us and they're going to have their crazy fucking shit in 2026. Like Uranus and Gemini is also anything that's on your mind, things that you need to say. It's like King Kong. Uranus, you got to break, those thoughts are going to break out of the cage. So the longer you hold it in, there's no more Pisces, right? Like we've been so much lost in Neptune Pisces for so long that all the Gemini placements always were kind of mind-bending and weird. And that goes back to like 2002 when we started Uranus all the way back in Pisces. And so this is the first minute without any planets in Pisces or planets in Taurus. And if you think about the last 25 years, Jupiter, Saturn met in Taurus in 2000, right? Uranus went into fucking Pisces in 2002. I mean, then the eclipses that were in Pisces, the North Node 19 years ago, in 2005 and the 6. Like, it's been a Pisces Taurus show for fucking so long. Jupiter Uranus met in Taurus. Fucking Jupiter Uranus met in Pisces twice. This is your best moment for 2025 left. The rest is you reap the benefits of it. Okay? Like this is where there is not much more that you can bring up to be harvested in the fall and be harvested and survive off of in the, so you better make your moves. Whatever the writing on the wall is right now, Uranus is like the writing's on the wall. It reminds me of, oh man, I think it's the Haunting, the 1963 film. This was such a great movie. It was done in black and white, and I'm gonna do the writing on the wall. Right when they wrote the Eleanor, when the house wrote Eleanor on the wall. I mean, this is so kind of like the writings around you, the walls are kind of like looking at you and telling you what to do. Neptune, sextile Uranus on the wall, like it's right here. But no, everybody doesn't believe. Remember, this whole movie has to deal with a guy who's exploring psychic phenomenon and intentionally picking people who literally are like psychic in a way, right? And putting them all in a haunted house. And this reality is haunted with South Node and Virgo. If you're trying to live the old Virgo way and the old do the thing and keep doing the thing and keep doing the old machine, keep being the 9-to-5 factory worker and keep doing that is where you're not paying attention. And yeah, the house is coming after you. It's not going to feel comfortable. You're going to feel a lot of discomfort. So the 1963 version is the one to watch if you want a good watch. It was the only movie where they didn't need to show anything. They could use sound and they could trip you out without it. I wonder if they just have the fucking movie, just the wiki. Oh yeah, The Haunting. 1963, because I think it's a supernatural horror The film depicts the experiences of a small group of people invited by a paranormal investigator to investigate a purposely haunted house, or a purportedly haunted house. And wow, and then even Martin Scorsese placed The Haunting first on his list of the 11 scariest horror films of all time. Yeah, Dr. Markway wishes to study the reported paranormal activity. I feel like that's kind of what Neptune, Aries, Uranus, like we are having all these beings and all these weird things from out there watching us. And kind of like now paranormal stuff will happen in your life. Like if you're doing something that's not aligned, like it'll be like a ghost popping up in your life. And it will be loud. That's why this movie resonates. Like, you may not believe in ghosts, but you cannot deny terror. And the terror and the loudness and the banging on that movie, the way they bang the fucking weird shit in the attic where Abigail died, the little baby. It's fucking deep, dude, this movie. And like, this is what you are like, and it's uncomfortable. It's discomfort to the max if you're just like, I'm gonna keep living in my normal reality and not follow it, and too afraid to really address any elephant in the room, my job, my personal life, my relationships, and not live the wholesome life. And the only way the wholesome life will be is based upon what you did with Pluto and Capricorn and this full moon reminding you, like, you better understand what purpose and meaning is. So, or else you're just living in a world that's the haunting. For real. God, that was such a good movie. I'm going to watch that again. In my Apple Vision Pro, fucking full blast. Not theater. Fuck, that's better than any other theater. Apple Vision Pro. So anyway, well, that's my horoscope for you all. Let me pull some cards real quick. Hope that helps you, because like I kind of like to show you what's coming up more than just now, so you understand why, you know, that's what Capricorn does. You have to prepare and you have to understand the journey. I showed people on High Vibe, if you think of a map, Saturn, when it's direct, it's like if you went to AAA, people don't do it anymore, but I used to go to AAA and be like, yeah, give me the map of the US, and like I'm going to plot my trip. This is before MapQuest. And like you plot your trip. By the time Saturn retrogrades, it's you going on the fucking line of the trip. So, you know, because there's too many Gen Z people now that still don't even understand that, I'll give you one little quick example here. So, here is the US. All right. When Saturn is direct, you plot your trip. Okay? When it's in Aries, it's kind of like you're going there. But it's with Neptune, so you kind of want to maybe see the sights along the path. Be flexible. So it's more like that. With Jupiter in Cancer too, it's very up and down. The moon moves every 2.5 days. So, you know, the journey definitely is kind of changing every 2.5 days. But the whole part of the retrograde is, okay, you plotted it. You said this is the path. This is the destination. And so here I'll put the yellow as the retrograde. Is like, okay, you begin the journey. Now, whether you hit every stop, that doesn't matter. The main thing is, what's that end point with this full moon in Capricorn? If your end point is to land here, okay, well, the whole retrograde you're going to spend is doing this. So that's why this is so important. And and then you reflect back on those stationed and be like, did I reach my target here? And then it stations direct, and then you kind of make your new fucking plot from there and new direction. Right? The difference is Saturn and Neptune haven't met at 0 Aries like they will in February since 4300 BCE. So 6,300 years ago. So in many ways, it's kind of erasing all the old ways the world looked at plotting and what direction to take. You're here to carve it out your own way. You can be. It's not about becoming the next leader. It's about becoming the next soul that's truly in alignment with who they are and what their mission was to be here spiritually, and to live it. That's what Aries is about. That's where the sun exalts. To be a living embodiment of it. You can't just be the avatar and still be hidden behind. Pisces is over. You can't just, live your life behind social media anymore. You got to go be a living, walking example of this shit now. So, I hope that helps for those that didn't understand it. But that's where you're at. And this full moon in Capricorn, you know what it is to me? This will be a good way to put it. Here, we'll do this. So this has been the direct. We'll just keep it simple. This yellow or we'll do red. This red moment, you have this 2 days to finish this last part. It's that big. This full moon in Capricorn is kind of like a longer stretch than you realize of like, I got to do this and this. And it's been the weeks that have been progressing since the Jupiter square Saturn and Neptune, right? That it's been kind of like building you to this place where it's clear shot this direction or this direction or this direction, or for some people fumbling the ball and I'm just going to not do anything and hope something figures it out. You will not get anywhere farther. You must make these big choices. And any elephant in the room, which the biggest elephant in the room is what's going to go on next? What's going to happen next? Have those conversations. Don't be afraid. Be a businessman or woman right now. If it's bringing you discomfort, that's where Jupiter's going to pay you, right? Like, oh, there's comfort on the other side of discomfort, right? It's uncomfortable. And you're only going to understand things by direct communication and understanding, hey, I will also hear what you have to say as a person back instead of just like my way or the highway. And if you can do that, then you'll realize, oh, okay, maybe I misunderstood this. And okay, I understand where you're coming from and we can align. Or you know what, we just don't align. And then at least you know you're not going that direction and you're picking the other direction. But do not sit around if you're in a relationship where you're like, I don't even know if this person's even involved or likes me, or get the fuck out now. You want to go through the worst 2025 of your life? You're going to feel it after this full moon and especially Saturn retrograde this weekend. And then when Mercury goes retrograde, ain't going to feel much fun. Right? It'll be more like Uranus and Gemini will be like a bunch of flies in your head that are fucking geoengineered by Bill Gates to try and combat fucking the new meat-eating fucking whatever the fuck they're trying to make up now to make you scared. I'm telling you right now, that's how big of a chunk this is a choice in your life. My advice would be, the only place we know for sure there's a job in the future is AI. Every other one? No. So if you're a business owner, if your job doesn't know how to incorporate it or isn't letting you use it or still hasn't thought about it, or you don't really have a position that is allowed to really use it or doesn't, that actually is scarier, right? If you're the ability to use AI at the job, that actually is a good thing. But the people who aren't able to use it, that's what's replaceable. That's an easy way to kind of gauge this too. So definitely a full moon to remember. And remember, we're moving in a new world. This is like the new liquid glass. This is the new world we're moving into, an Apple world and all that kind of stuff. But all right. It's going to be a different world. Very Saturn, Neptune, Aries, liquid glass. Liquid glass. All right. And I'm a father to a son and a daughter, but whoa, I have a boy. Right? I love being a girl dad. So it's like it was almost kind of weird for me. And I had a brother, you know, I was always a family with boys. So like I was like, oh, being a girl dad is gonna be a whole new experience. Well, the last 2 years have been the best experience of my life with it. Then I almost kind of came into like, what's it gonna be like to have a boy? And it's like, well, I kind of actually know that because that was most of my life, and I am a man, so you know what I mean. Like I get it. So it's like it's a beautiful thing. But like, you know, those who have watched me a long time, like, did you ever think you'd see me here with 2 kids? Probably not. You probably were like, no way. Uh-oh. How weird. I said that and the universe is playing the haunting on me, the paranormal right now. Hold on. That's very interesting. That's so funny. I'm not even using green screen. This is a AI. I don't have a green screen behind me. Who uses green screens anymore? Unless it's films and shit TV shows. They just film that in a studio now. I don't go to sites anymore. But you don't even need green screen anymore with AI. Could literally be with whatever you want behind you. So, but if you don't know how to use those tools, that's what Uranus and Taurus taught people. You didn't know how to use all the new tools? Because now that we're in Gemini, it's like those who know how to put all those tools together, fuck, they're going to kill it, right? So here, for example, let's move this to blur. And let me take the blur away. Yeah, I'm just in the game room upstairs. That's how good AI is. Like look at that. Okay, now I just got it blurred. But that's my good GPU. So Uranus and Gemini is the world of GPUs, graphics cards with Neptune and sextile. And chips. Like, you don't have a good chip, a good GPU, you're nothing. Like, you know, like you're access to money, access to the new way the internet's going to be. And like I've said, I've already seen it. YouTube ain't going to be. TikTok isn't going to have the old algorithm. They just were talking about that. By September, that sale is going to have to happen, but it won't keep the Chinese algorithm. So it's not going to be the same. And so the world, you know, like you think you're safe in this world? Like, I'm sorry, no, unless you are doing the new things. In 1 year, everything will be a chat bot through your phone, and you will like access a video that way. And if your company doesn't know how to be that and access that, then it's kind of like SEO. Like, you're nothing. It doesn't matter how many subs you have. That's why they don't tell you the email addresses for any of your subscribers in social media. You know why? Because they know that they're going to burn you from them. Boy. A lot of hard truths are going to come to people, and especially in the tech world, that have zero fucking clue what's going on right now. I mean, put it this way: you have Mark Zuckerberg buying out OpenAI fucking AI techs for $100 million. Okay. Now you might think, oh, that's no big deal. Believe it or not, Meta is a pretty big deal, especially in AI with their Llama and their new Llama 4 and their 2 versions, their Scout and their Maverick. You probably have no idea about any of that LLM shit. But like, Meta's trying to take over the AI world right now, and it's all about what they're going to do in Oculus with it. And Apple is moving everything with Apple Vision Pro. They've already got in 2 years the glasses and another version with the M5 chip and an R2 chip that's coming out. Your whole life is never going to be the way you thought it was. And it's not going to be, let me look and scroll on some page at some video. Like, that's gone. I've moved every part of what I'm moving in every part of my life right now into the new future technology shit. Like I did in 2013 and 2014 brought the first video horoscope app in the world. And people were like, what the fuck? I'm telling you, this whole YouTube game is over. It's over. The TikTok game, the meta game, like with your Instagram, it's over. It's going to be very individualized. It's going to be meeting people in virtual spaces and physical spaces. I mean, it's not going to be about seeing what they posted. And not about likes and shares. It'll be like, okay, it'll be like top friends. Like the most important people put through my feed and show me a picture, like a notification. But if you have do not disturb on when you're going through your life, you won't see it. Unless you know how to connect in and be part of that new higher frequency and way different technological advanced society. And that, I hate to say that, but everybody has the access to it, but most people spend their time, their money, their energy on the opposite. So, all right, Queen of Pentacles. I mean, honestly, it's such a chill vibe. I love this full moon in Capricorn. This is such a full moon Capricorn vibe. Like, you know your value. Where's your deep meaning? Fucking go after it. That's where you're going to find your wholesomeness. That's where you're going to find your security. That's where you're going to find how you can take care of yourself. And this is a moment where you could have everything you wanted, but it's not from the ego. It's like to supply the need. For me, it's being a dad. I want to be able to supply my family to feel safe. That's why I do this work. And I do it also because I want to do my light work. That's the main reason. And so it's a combo. Where's your combo? Then we got a 2 of Wands here in reverse. Yeah, I mean, if you don't really understand at least some vision here of where you're wanting to see and you can't see the vision of the world, then I would say that you really need to maybe take this next 2 days and kind of pay attention. Uranus and Gemini is you better be paying attention because it's a race now. Uranus and Gemini is a race. Like, you better feel a little behind. I already feel behind. There's shit that's coming out on my birthday, July 23rd, that, you know, if you don't have that new super AI fucking computer that NVIDIA is bringing out, you know, then you're going to be paying top dollar for fucking training AI models and shit unless you do it fucking physically. But most people still are fucking retarded and don't even know what I'm talking about. And some people do. I appreciate you all. And especially if we lose Taiwan, right? Then we don't have access. And then, you know what? You think a Bitcoin's worth a lot of money? It's more like people who have a computer with the GPU and with the right motherboard and with the right, you know, and the right everything that if we can't get it, like that's going to be bigger price than a Bitcoin. You'll see a computer go for like $200K if Taiwan ever gets lost. I mean, we're not building the chips here yet. You have no idea. And that's the secret stuff. Like, that's the deeper shit that most people aren't paying attention to. Like, have fun staying on your 6-year-old Mac with an Intel in it. You're fucked. I appreciate you all. I hope this helps. You know me, I'm always raw and real. I bring love and light, but I also bring truth. And I don't fuck around. I appreciate you all. Thanks for the love. Join High Vibe or have fun on old YouTube with all these fucking old people doing the same shit. Don't tell you nothing. Bye. It's so funny. Like, people are so stupid. Bye-bye.
Yo. Okay.
Monster.